Are you trying to figure out the secret to happiness? Well, here at What Makes You Happy with Jake Pearson, we want to make that happiness more accessible for you in your life. So stick around as we interview everyday people, inspirational leaders, and your favorite celebrities on what makes them happy. Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and today we have with us Brooke Wright, who is the host of a women's running retreat, Respirit Retreats. Brooke, how are you?
Hey Jake, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, got coffee in hand. Where are you coming from today?
So I'm in Wollongong.
So for those who aren't living in Australia, that is in just up the road from me in Melbourne, isn't it?
It's like an hour and a half south of Sydney.
So about New South Wales. So just a little bit up the road. It's going to be an amazing little episode. You host women's running retreats, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's a passion of mine.
Lovely. Would you be able to share with us what makes you happy?
So one thing that really makes me happy is running. I have experienced anxiety and depression in my life, and running has been a tool for me to manage it. And as part of that, then what makes me happy is bringing women together and getting them into running as well so that they can benefit from it and find joy through running.
Yeah, and has that been something that you have a big personal connection to?
When my anxiety was at its worst, I would wake up in the morning and it would just start until the time I went to bed at night. And then I started running, and for a little while that was the only peace that I could get. I would put my headphones in and run, and my mind would be quiet for that time. And that was kind of the hope that I held on to. And so, and now I just run as a way to feel good and, challenge myself and remind myself that I can do hard things. And that's why it makes me so happy.
That's a beautiful little reminder there, just to remind yourself that you can do hard things. And sometimes I feel like we as people need to be able to just give ourselves those little reminders, because we're always in our own heads, For someone who may be listening to the podcast right now, what advice would you give to them if maybe they're experiencing some maybe similar anxiety and they're struggling to find a little bit of happiness in their life?
I guess I would just say that, I've been there, and it does get better. It might not feel like it at the moment, but I can guarantee if you just hold on, it will get better.
Would you recommend they get outside and maybe try to go for a walk/run, or just be active, try to be more active in general?
For sure. It can feel really hard, but if you just get out and maybe just start with walking, and just get out in the morning sun, don't wear sunnies, to just really soak that in, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, and then you go back to bed, if that's what you need to do. But I definitely think that exercise can really help.
And I love that you've mentioned just 5 to 10 minutes. That isn't a huge commitment of time. It's a small barrier that you have to sort of get yourself out of the gate. But once you're out there, you might find that 5 or 10 minutes, well, I have in the past when I went running, I would say on a Sunday, hey, just go for a minute run, that's all. The whole point is you go running, and every time I would go, I would find myself going further and further and doing a little bit more. So it might just be that you just find that you just need to get out the door and see what happens.
That's it. Start small.
If you would like to connect with Brooke, you can do so in the podcast episode description below. You'll be able to find her Instagram, which will be really awesome. And you can go check out some more information on the Respirit Retreats, which will be really cool. Brooke, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast to share all things that make you happy.
Thanks, Jake. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Don't forget to leave a review or a comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms so you can see our upcoming guest calendar. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.